So we just recently got some fight news from Dana White, and ladies and gentlemen, we back. We are back when it comes to the UFC. And listen, I think that this is very evident that, one, we know when the UFC hits into the later part of the year, as we get into the fall, as we get into the winter, they tend to load up these cards. Now, I think that this is the UFC, obviously to that effect as well. But I feel like with the new Paramount deal going on, when that'll take place at the start of 2026, it feels like the UFC is really trying to get things back on track, man. It feels like they're trying to build all the momentum that they can to head into what I think is going to be a crazy 2026. But listen, man, this fall and winter, I mean, it is shaping up to be absolutely amazing. So we got some big fight announcements for him last night, and I want to break them down. I want to talk about these fights because the main event of UFC Vancouver, it is one of the best stylistic matchups the UFC could put together right now between Reinier de Ridder and Fluffy Hernandez. Cannot wait to break that one down. I'm going to be giving my early predictions for all these fights as well. But look, man, this UFC Vancouver card, it's actually pretty good, right? We've known when the UFC goes to Canada, it's kind of the running joke like, the card ain't going to be good. The UFC ain't decking shit when they head to Canada. I mean, this is a pretty good card, man. We got, Marlon Chito Vera versus Ayman Zahabi, right? Zahabi's coming off of a big win over Jose Aldo. It's been a while since we've seen Chito Vera, right? He had to pull out of the fight against Mario Bautista to where Patchy Mix stepped in, and then Kevin Holland coming off of what I think was easily one of the worst performances of his career to where he looked like complete dog shit against Daniel Rodriguez. And then we have Manon Fiorot versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. I know people, WMMA, man. This is a good matchup. This is a super good matchup for WMMA, dude. Manon Fiorot, I mean, she's coming off of the loss to Valentina Shevchenko, but before that, I mean, she was looking fantastic. Really good striking, brick wall takedown defense, and now she's going to be taking on one of the better grapplers up and coming in the weight class. I mean, I am super interested to see how that one plays out. And then in October, Charles Oliveira versus Rafael Fiziev. We know that fight is going down, headlining the UFC Rio card. They added a super interesting matchup, and that is Davison Figueiredo versus Montel Jackson. Now, it's good that Figgy is making a turnaround here because when he had the knee injury against Corey Sandhagen, I wasn't sure if we were going to see Figgy again, right? Given, depending on how severe it was. We know he's getting, a little later in his career. So good to see him back. Sounds like things are good to go on Figgy's end. And listen, man, the UFC, we back, man, because some of the big cards that they got coming up, it is going to be a super fun fall and winter. And I mean, it really started back with UFC 319, the way they loaded that out. We got a big UFC Shanghai fight night card with some good fights going on. It just feels like the UFC is really starting to get back on track. And hey, man, not as many Apex events either coming up as well as we get into the fall and winter. So super excited stretch coming up for the UFC. But I want to point something out first before we get into the breakdowns and early predictions, because I can already hear it now. Khamzat Chimaev, just like when Dean Thomas was saying, it's going to be a disaster now that he's the champion and blah, 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 boo-hoo-hoo and wah. I don't want to hear a damn thing about it. Khamzat Chimaev was very vocal after he completely dominated Dricus du Plessis. He was like, hey, man, I'll make a quick turnaround in October and I'll go ahead and defend my strap against somebody. And he said RDR, right? And put the little dead sign emoji on there. And then it was a fake RDR account that commented on there. And then Khamzat says, I'm going to make you look like a white belt, Habibi, with some laughy faces. And then, that was a fake account or whatever. So really what RDR said was send location. And I felt like maybe there was the chance we were going to get that. But the reality is this, man. Khamzat has become too big of a star for quick turnarounds, in my opinion. Maybe we get him, right? We've seen the UFC turn Alex Pineda around. Now, given some of that was because, the UFC was fumbling around. They needed to save, the UFC 300 main event. Conor pulled out against Chandler, so they had to call him for his services again. But Khamzat Chimaev, to me, is not someone the UFC is going to be looking at quick turnarounds for. They're just not. They're going to want to build these fights up, right? They already got Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane on that card. I just find it hard to see where they would just have Khamzat headline. I mean, of course they'd be all willing for it. It's my favorite fighter. But the reality was, we were probably not getting a quick turnaround from Khamzat. He's too big of a star, man. Too big of a star. The UFC is going to want to plan it out. Right, but that's when things are going to get interesting because we've already seen that with Khamzat. He fought Robert Whittaker back at UFC 308, fought Dricus du Plessis at 319, and it's like we really want to see Khamzat. He's hitting his stride as a professional fighter. We want to see this guy active, man. We want to see him. If he wants to defend the title, let him defend. But from the UFC's business standpoint, it's just not going to happen, man. Like, I'd be shocked if they let him do quick turnarounds. But what's interesting about this is it doesn't sound like we're going to see him again this year. That's what this kind of tells me. Maybe we could see him in December, right? I mean, in November, that's probably going to be Islam versus JDM. So who knows what kind of, comes about over the, the way that these fights are going to play out between, Imavov and Bahalyo and, with Fluffy and RDR. So we'll kind of see how these play out. But it just feels like we're not going to see Khamzat again this year, which I think sucks, right? Because I would have loved to have seen him fight twice this year, but I get it from the business standpoint. He's a big superstar. The UFC's not going to do a quick turnaround for him, man. They're just not. They're just not going to do it. As much as we would love to see it, I just don't see him doing it. They're not. You heard Kamaru Usman on the podcast saying you're a massive superstar, man. They're not going to be doing quick turnarounds. They're just not. I just don't see him doing that, right? I feel like he's going to be on the Islam Makhachev schedule. Fighting twice a year. Beginning of 2026 is probably when we'll see Khamzat again. We got the new Paramount deal going on, right? But the interesting thing is Ramadan will be basically the middle of February through March, into March. So that kind of eliminates that timeline, right? I don't think that we would see Khamzat fight during that time. So it's going to be interesting to see. We may have to wait several months to see Chimaev get back in there, which that kind of sucks, man. Coming off of a crazy win where he took no damage. So that's something to point out, man, because if he doesn't fight again this year, maybe they have him fight in January, especially if Islam fights JDM in November. So be curious to see how it plays out, right? So, with Ramadan, February through March there, into March, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. So hopefully we don't have to wait too long to see Chimaev get back in there, man. And it was exciting to hear him say he wanted a quick turnaround. But I feel like he kind of knew, man, that they weren't going to turn him around. I feel like he kind of knew that. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. But it was cool. It was cool. It was fun. I'm going to make you look like a white belt, Habibi. And him versus RDR is a crazy fight, man. So we'll see if we get it because we got a big fight coming up. But I want to talk about this, real fast before we get into the breakdowns. And that is kind of this little tournament we got going on at middleweight right now, man. I mean, middleweight right now is on fire. It's heating up. And we got some really, really fun contenders in this weight class, man. Really fun contenders. I'm super high on Nasruddin Imavov. One of my big critiques for Nasruddin was, listen, man, you got speedy hands, outstanding boxing, well-rounded skill set. Where's the killer instinct? Just where is it? And then he goes out there and shows it against Israel Adesanya. And I feel like Imavov is starting to kind of really hit his flow in the division. Beat Brendan Allen, good grappler. Goes out there, starches a legend in Adesanya. Right? And he's got this big fight with Kyle Bahalyo coming up at UFC Paris. And Bahalyo has been on a crazy run. Right? And both of these guys are really kind of known for their striking. They do have good grappling, especially Bahalyo. But, it feels like these guys are going to get left in the dust, man. And I feel like whoever wins that fight is going to wait and have to watch the winner of RDR versus Fluffy fight Khamzat first. Because it feels like RDR versus Khamzat being booked, that feels like the direction the UFC is probably going to go. And Dana said we're going to see how these fights all play out, and then that's going to decide who fights Khamzat next. So it's going to be a super interesting next couple months for the middleweight division. So we got a number one contender battle going on, man. So it's not really a tournament because it's not like RDR Fluffy's winner is going to fight Imavov versus Bahalyo. I don't see that happening because then we would have Khamzat sidelined for forever. But it's going to be interesting. And I think it's going to come down to flash, right? If Imavov can go out there and starch Bahalyo, if Kaio can go out there and starch Imavov or sub him or something, like maybe they make their case. But either way, if one of those guys wins, I feel like they'll be waiting in the wing for the next title shot. But that brings us to this, man. It feels like the true number one contender fight, and the winner of this bout is going to be fighting for the title next. And I say that for a couple of reasons. Number one, I mean, how about RDR, dude? Coming over from one championship, having what I thought was a really awful debut against Gerald Meerschaert, right? And I was so critical of RDR for that. I was like, I just couldn't let it go, man. I couldn't let it go. I'm like, how are you going life and death with Gerald Meerschaert? Why is GM3 looking like a two-weight division glory kickboxing world champion against RDR? Why is that happening? It shouldn't be happening. And I know that RDR is not known for his striking. GM3 should not be tagging you up on the feed. GM3 should not be winning the grambling scrapples. I can't talk, man. I'm so excited about this fight. RDR was losing to Gerald Meerschaert on the ground for portions of that fight. And I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting RDR to be winning the grappling scrambles, man. And I had all these high hopes, right? Again, UFC jitters maybe, but it was in the apex. So I was very critical. But the bottom line is this: RDR versus Fluffy Hernandez. This is the most badass, intriguing matchup that we are probably going to see the rest of the year. And stylistically, I mean, how interesting is this? RDR has been so active since coming into the UFC. What has he rattled off? What is it, 4 wins now? All of them by finish, except for the Whittaker one, went to a split decision where I thought RDR definitely won that fight. Outside of him trying to lunge in with his chin in the air, getting clipped by that right hand by Robert Whittaker, he fought a great fight, man. Made one mistake in that fight, and outside of that, he looked great. He did. RDR looked really good. That was a massive step up in competition against Robert Whittaker, man. A lot of people were picking Whittaker to win the fight, and I came to my senses. I'm like, RDR's getting it done, dog. He is. But how does he match up with Fluffy Hernandez? A guy with all the hype, riding a crazy, riding. I can't, dude, I'm so hyped, dude, I can't even talk. Fluffy Hernandez is riding a crazy win streak right now. And I was a dumbass. I thought that Roman Dolidze style, the ground game, right? I mean, Roman looked like shit in the fight, but a lot of that had to do with Fluffy Hernandez. I felt like Roman stylistically was a little bit of a challenging fight for Fluffy Hernandez. But turns out, won it all. Fluffy ran right through him. So the hype is real, because I had some questions. Because I don't forget about the Kevin Holland fight, where Hernandez was getting beat up to the body. I don't forget about Michel Pineda landing those good shots to the body. Fluffy Hernandez doesn't check kicks. Brendan Allen was landing good shots on the feet against him. So how does that line up against a guy like RDR? And how badass are these guys? None of them are complaining about, I'm just going to sit out and wait for my title shot. They're like, no, this is the next guy talking about a title shot. We both won title shots. Throw us in there. We're going to fight it out. I love it, man. There's so much on this main event, and it doesn't get any better stylistically. I mean, Fluffy Hernandez, he's got the cardio, he's got the gas tank. His striking looked excellent against Roman Dolidze, and we know that he's got good wrestling and good jiu-jitsu skills, for sure. But is it better than RDR? I don't know, man. Early lean, I think I'm thinking RDR here. And it's crazy because I was so critical of RDR because I had these high expectations from what he did in one championship. I mean, guys, those losses were against a yoked up Russian dude, I think, right? That guy, I forget his name. I mean, that dude was an absolute monster. Hit like a damn truck and was super strong, had good grappling, good takedown defense. It was a hard fight for Reinier de Ridder. Outside of that, I mean, this guy has looked great, man. Made easy work of Kevin Holland, destroyed Bo Nickel, and the X factor for me is those knees that RDR throws, they are devastating. They started to have a toll on Robert Whittaker. That's part of the reason Whittaker started to fade as the fight played out. And I feel like that's going to be a factor in this fight. If you go to the body on Fluffy Hernandez, as tough as he is, as durable as he is, all the cardio, all these different things, when you go to the body and you invest there, it takes wind out of the sail, man. It does. Look what RDR was doing to Whittaker. Now, I don't think that you could just bully around Fluffy Hernandez, right? So that's where things are going to get interesting because the pace, the cardio, even the striking, I mean, I think that Fluffy kind of has the edge there, but we're seeing RDR striking. While it doesn't look great, it looks kind of goofy, kind of thuds the little jab out there. I mean, it was busting up Whittaker. He's a massive guy for this weight class. So how's Fluffy going to deal with a big guy? I mean, he just dealt with Roman Dolidze, who was clearly bigger in that fight, and it didn't even matter. It was one of the most embarrassing performances of the year. Drakus got completely ran over by Chimaev, and Dolidze, hey, let's not forget about that. He got completely babied by Fluffy Hernandez, got destroyed, and then got finished. So, I mean, Fluffy Hernandez is coming off of a super impressive win, man, to where I could see him pushing the pace, drowning RDR as the fight plays out, taking him down, controlling him. But when do we see RDR really get controlled, though? When do we see that? I mean, RDR is a really good guard, man. His jiu-jitsu is excellent. He's good on top, good on bottom. And if he gets on top of Fluffy Hernandez, I think it's going to be a problem because Fluffy off of his back, I'm not sure it's the same guy. And in the clinch, RDR is better. RDR in this weight class might be the best fighter in the clinch. He might be. Those knees, man, are devastating, and he's so predictable. He basically just jabs, throws an occasional left hand, few kicks here and there. He throws those knees from 100 yards away. He just runs in and just jumps and lunges in with that knee because he knows how devastating it is. And it is. And I feel like some of these longer, rangier fighters in this weight class, they're going to have to start taking some notes on RDR, man. Because the way that this knee is landing, I feel like that can be a go-to weapon in this fight. And we saw Kevin Holland. Don't forget about that. And I know that was a while ago, but when Holland went to the body, that's what I thought Dolidze was going to do. Beat up the lead leg. Go to the body. Right in a southpaw of RDR, it's going to be a little harder to attack the leg, but I think those knees, man, I think they're going to pay off in this fight, dude. I feel like they are. I know people are hard on Bo Nickel for the loss to RDR because he was kind of acting like a spoiled brat and all those kinds of things, but Bo Nickel's still pretty solid, man. Now, he's not Fluffy Hernandez, right? Fluffy Hernandez is a totally different beast, but I know he's riding a crazy win streak, but right now I'm leaning toward early lean. I'm going RDR. I think he's able to get this one done. And I think that those knees to the body are the difference, man. I feel like that is the true, attribute in this weight class that I don't know that anyone has the answer for, man. And even, what are you going to crush the space? RDR's got really good judo skills, man. And even if you do take him down, he has no problem fighting off of his back. He's got a good guard, gets his butterflies in, sweeps you, reverses position. And we saw Fluffy Hernandez. I mean, I know that he won the fight against Brendan Allen, but I think RDR is way better than a guy like Brendan Allen on the ground. And on the feet, I mean, those knees are hellacious. They are. They are a true X factor in this weight class. And when we talk about X factors, Madden, right? You got some sort of attribute that other people don't. And that's what RDR has, is those knees. They're nasty. And that jab's thudding, right? And it's a southpaw. It's a little bit of a different matchup for Fluffy Hernandez. But right now, there's no question that Fluffy's a beast, man. He's an absolute monster. Wouldn't surprise me if he wins this fight. I think that this is super competitive and very intriguing. But I feel like the ground skills of RDR, I feel like they hold up well against a guy like Fluffy, who typically has the advantage, right? The only thing I worry about is the cardio. And Fluffy's striking did look really good against Reinier de Ridder. It did. It looked sharp. It looked powerful. It looked mean. So I'm going to be curious to see how this plays out. But regardless, I feel like the winner is going to fight Khamzat Chimaev, because stylistically, these guys are more intriguing against Khamzat than Akal Bahalio versus Nasruddin Imavov, in my opinion. While those guys would deserve it 100%, and they're maybe the better strikers, stylistically, the guys that have the grappling that they're known for, like these two, I feel like that's what the UFC is looking to do next with Khamzat Chimaev, right? And let's let Khamzat parade around with the belt. Build it up, take some time, let it kind of marinate after he just dominated DDP. And then the winner of this, I think, is fighting Khamzat Chimaev next. Stylistically, it'll be super interesting. RDR with his ground game, those knees. His jab is actually really improving from working with Henry Hooft. Fluffy's a problem, though. Man, this is such a good fight, dude. I think it's a coin flip. But early lean, I think RDR's ground game and those knees are going to be a problem. Fluffy Hernandez, man, I said it for de Ridder. If you just target the body, it's easier said than done. Target the body of Fluffy Hernandez, man. I know guys can have a crazy gas tank, but if you beat up the midsection, that takes some wind away. We saw him get to Whitaker, but again, it's different styles. Fluffy's on an absolute tear right now. Feels like he's not going to be beaten. Feels like he's like the next big thing in this weight class. I'm excited to see how this one plays out. But early lean, man, I think that RDR is able to get this one done. I think the knees are going to be the difference. And his ground game is super good. And if he could put Fluffy on his back and get to that half guard position where he could start to work for some of his submissions and ground and pound, I think RDR actually is able to get this one done. But amazing matchup. Glad both of these guys took this fight. We got Marlon Vera versus Ayman Zahabi next. Ariel Helwani. Dude, I cannot get over how much Ayman Zahabi looks like Ariel Helwani. Like, it is uncanny how much he looks like Ariel, dude. But the bottom line is, this is kind of a weird fight because Chito Vera, I mean, you know, he got completely destroyed by Sean O'Malley, right? We knew that was just a cherry pick fight for O'Malley to get a free title defense at UFC 299. And it just feels like Chito Vera, if he's not fighting someone older that's kind of past their time, it's just it's hard to see Chito having a lot of success in this weight class. And I know that Ayman Zahabi's a little older in his career, but he's one of those guys where it's kind of like a Bilal, to where as he's gotten older, we're really starting to see him actually hit his stride as a professional fighter. And the pace that this guy is able to put on guys, I mean, it melted Jose Aldo. Now, granted, he was in a lot of trouble, and I feel like, you know, Aldo emptied the gas tank. Aldo ended up retiring after the fight, so who kind of knows where his head is at? But the bottom line was, I mean, he survived the onslaught of a heavy hitter in Jose Aldo. Right, we saw what Aldo was doing against Chito Vera, right? And I know styles make fights, but look, I really like Chito Vera. I've always been a fan of his. I like his style, switches stance well, good front kicks, you know, nasty power, good elbows, just a mean fighter, man. Mean fighter in there. And I really like Chito Vera. And I hope that he can get this one done, because that would be big for him to get a win here. But I don't know, man. In a 3-round fight, Chito Vera is such a slow starter. And it's kind of the same story. And it felt like in some of these other fights, like against Davidson Figueiredo, we saw him get dropped. Right? And I'm not saying Zahabi's Figueiredo. We know how good, you know, Figgy's striking is, especially when he was fresh coming from, you know, flyweight up to bantamweight. I mean, but I just feel like this is a little bit of a problem for Chito. Right? Big step up for Zahabi. Right? I know the Aldo fight was a big step up, but I feel like his pace and the way that he can kind of move forward, like, I think that's going to be a problem for Marlon. I feel like Zahabi can get ahead early. He's well coached, right? He's got his brother Fiorot there. You know, they always come up with good game plans. They approached Aldo well, drug him out, which that was a really close fight, by the way. So I don't know, man. But Aldo was still looking good at his age, right? So it's like people are going to try to take something away from Zahabi just because he beat Aldo, and a lot of people love Aldo, right? So it's kind of natural to just hate on Ayman for going out there and beating Aldo like that. But I don't know, man. I feel like Chito Vera can win this fight. I do, as long as he keeps the fight on the feet, because I know Zahabi has decent grappling, but is it good enough to hold down Chito Vera and control him? I don't think so. And we know that Chito Vera, he doesn't get tired at all. And it's a 15-minute fight, so he's definitely not going to gas out, right? And so it's not going to be like a tired Chito Vera in there to where Zahabi just starts to pour it on him late. So I think Chito Vera switching stances, banging leg kicks from the outside, mixing in the front kicks, utilizing his boxing. I mean, I think that Chito Vera can win a decision here, but I think it's going to be a close fight because he's a slow starter. And Amin Zahabi's really underrated, man. Finally getting a big opportunity. I mean, the Aldo fight was a big opportunity, but this is a big one. Fighting a top 10 guy. So, I mean, I really like Amin Zahabi. Super cool guy. I'd like to see him get this one done, but I'm a Chito fan, man. I've been a long-time Chito fan. So, but realistically, I do think Chito can win this. Bias aside, I think he can win. Because I don't think Zahabi's that dangerous. He's got good cardio. He will push a pace. He fights really, really smart, but he's there to be hit. And I feel like Chito's front kicks and kicking game could give him some problems. And as long as Chito gets on the bike early and starts kind of hitting the gas pedal to, really start putting some things up, I feel like that he can get ahead and win maybe like a 29-28 decision here. But I think it's going to be a close fight, man, because Chito in these 3-round fights, it always scares me. But looking back at Chito's wins recently, a lot of these guys are like older, man, right? And we're seeing him getting taken down and controlled a lot, right? But I just don't think Zahabi has, necessarily the skill set to do that to a guy like Chito. But we're going to find out, right? So it's been a little time away for Chito Vera. I think he's going to come back refreshed. Big opportunity for Chito Vera, because if he loses this one, it feels like that'll kind of be the beginning of the end. Big opportunity for Zahabi. I think that this is a super close fight, but I feel like Chito edges out a decision here. Kevin Holland versus Mike Malott. Don't fumble this one, Mike. And to be fair, Mike did not fumble the last one in Canada against Charles Radke, but this isn't necessarily Charles Radke, and depending on the night, Charles Radke could be better than Kevin Holland. I mean, Kevin Holland, you just never know what guy's going to show up. That's the reality. And he's coming off of a horrible loss against D-Rod. I think it was the worst performance in Kevin Holland's career. Considering he was at welterweight, he didn't have to worry about the grappling of D-Rod. I mean, D-Rod, I like D-Rod a lot, right? He's actually got a pretty underrated skill set and a pretty underrated record. Like, D-Rod's actually got a really good record, but he's older, right? He's super predictable, and it just felt like what has happened to Kevin Holland's straight right hand. Remember when he, rattled Joaquin Buckley with that thing? What happened to the right hand of Kevin Holland? It's like he doesn't throw it anymore. This guy's got, fame, money, whatever you want to say, and it just feels like Kevin Holland, it's just, it's for fun. He kind of climbs into the rankings. He's like, nah, I got to lose. I'm getting too close to having to fight a top 10 guy. I mean, Mike Malott, I think, is going to destroy him. I really do. The only hope that Kevin Holland has, in my opinion, is if he gets taken down, throwing up a submission, catching Mike Malott in something, and maybe Mike slows down. We saw him do that against Magny, but we know Magny can put a pace on you, and he's got an awkward frame in the weight class. But Kevin Holland, he's been good against welterweight grapplers for the most part. But he's made his living off of beating these older guys in the welterweight division. Gunnar Nelson, Vicente Luque, guys that are past their prime. Mike Malott is very much in his prime. And I was kind of writing him off because of the Magny loss. I'm like, okay, we got some issues here. But he's got good leg kicks, good striking on the feet, good ground game, good submission skills. He's a complete fighter, man. Mike Malott is a complete fighter, and I feel like that loss to Neil Magny's made him better. I think Mike Malott finishes Kevin Holland. And I know Kevin Holland's a hard guy to finish, but I feel like he can crack him on the feet and find a submission, club and sub. I think Mike Malott wins this fight and gets the biggest win of his career. The big opportunity for Malott, man, he wins this, he cracks into the top 15. So he's a good prospect. I kind of was fading him a little bit there, considering what we saw against Kevin Holland, or not against Neil Magny, to where he kind of shit the bed, was dominating, and then fell apart in the third round. But I feel like in this one, man, like Kevin Holland, you just never know who you're going to get. Kevin Holland's liable to show up this night and look like the greatest striker we've ever seen and knock him out, or take him down and submit him or something. I mean, you just never know with Kevin Holland. So maybe Holland comes out here, looks great because he just dropped one, and, we see him, put on a good performance. But even with a good performance, I think Mike Malott beats a Daniel Rodriguez. So even though I think it could be competitive between D-Rod and Malott, I think Mike Malott is a step ahead of Kevin Holland at this point. So give me Mike Malott to get this one done. I think he finds a submission. If not, he will win a unanimous decision. Favorable matchup here for Mike Malott. But again, Kevin Holland's got that tricky, long-range kind of frame, but I still don't think it matters. I think Mike Malott wins. Manon Fiorot versus Jasudavicius. WMMA, man. Look, I know people, they just roll their eyes. They're like, this isn't a good fight. For WMMA, dude, this is a super interesting fight, man. Because Manon Fiorot is known for having really good takedown defense. Now, we saw her struggle a little bit against Valentina Shevchenko, but that's Valentina. That's the bullet, right? She was one of the greatest women's fighters of all time. Super well-rounded, good skill set. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. But Manon Fiorot on the feet, I mean, she's better than Jasmine Jasudavicius. Good kicks, good straight shots from the outside, good movement, and she's physically, very strong for this weight class. She's big. She defends takedowns very well. But I feel like if Valentina is having some success, as good as Valentina is, I feel like Jasmine's a different kind of grappler, man. Like, I don't know. Early lean, I think Jasudavicius can win a decision here. I don't know if she's able to finish Fiorot, but if Jasmine cannot get the takedown, she's going to be in trouble. Let's put it that way. This fight is kind of, if Manon Fiorot keeps it on the feet, she's going to outscore Jasmine Jasudavicius. I think hurt her pretty badly on the feet. I know Jasmine's striking is not completely awful, but her ground game is what's gotten her to this point. Good submission skills coming off of that big submission win over someone like a Jessica Andrade, right? If you go back and watch like a Tracy Cortez, when she lost that fight, Tracy Cortez is known for kind of having good footwork and good movement. And it's like, does Manon Fiorot not have good footwork and good movement? Probably better striking than Tracy Cortez. So I'm not sure on this one, to be quite honest with you, because I think that if Jasmine gets the takedown, she wins. But if she doesn't, I mean, I think she's going to get busted up on the feet bad. And it's it's hard to see because Manon Fiorot's takedown defense is so good. It is really, really good. So I don't know. The question, I guess, is, do we think Jasmine Jasudavicius' ground game is better than Valentina Shevchenko? And given what we've seen so far, I would say yes. I would say yeah. So I think that she's going to be able to get Manon Fiorot down, win some minutes. I don't know if she's able to submit her, right? It's very hard to finish Manon Fiorot. This is a great fight, man. Stylistically, really intriguing fight. If it plays out on the feet, I favor Manon, but I think Jasmine gets her down and is able to control her and win some minutes. I think the best Canadian fighter right now is Jasmine Jasudavicius. I really believe that. She's really good, really skilled, high fight IQ, doesn't get away from who she is, knows exactly what she should do to go in there, not be like, she's a good striker, I'm going to go in there and test my striking. Like, no. She's going to take her down. She's going to look to grapple. It's a 15-minute fight. I think that Jasmine can edge this one out, but I think it's going to be a hard fight, man. Really, really good matchup here in WMMA. Last but not least, this is on the UFC Fight Night Rio card. This is very interesting, man, because Montel Jackson, for a while, you guys, if you've been watching the channel, which, by the way, if you enjoy this video and you enjoy my content, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe. But look, Montel Jackson, I feel like he's kind of been a dark horse in the bantamweight division for a while, right? Good southpaw striker, good straight left hand. But I think his last fight was against, Daniel Marcos. And, I mean, I thought he would be able to get a KO in there. And I know Daniel Marcos is really durable, so I don't really want to hold that against Montel Jackson. But he wasn't super active in that fight. It was kind of a slow-paced fight. Not a lot was going on, because Montel's more of a pick and poke kind of guy. Finds his opportunities, and believe me, when he does, he can knock you out, right? We've seen that piston left hand, the way he's able to put guys down. But, can he do that to Deiveson Figueiredo? I mean, Davidson's durable, man. He's durable, and especially since coming up to bantamweight, we have seen that his power has absolutely translated, and he's got a really good ground game. And I feel like he's definitely the best fighter that Montel has probably ever fought, I would say. So the question is, do we think Figgy is washed? I don't think so. Why? Because he lost to Corey Sandhagen, lost to Petr Yan, two of the best guys in the division. I mean, this is a big step up for Montel Jackson. But the thing with Montel is he's been so inactive, right? So it's kind of been a matter of time before we've seen him really get a big opportunity like this. And I think that he can't let this slip, because I feel like if he loses this one, I don't know how long it's going to be before we see Montel get another shot like this against a top 10 guy and Deiveson Figueiredo, a big name. Early lean, I'm going Figgy, though, man. I like Montel Jackson. I want to see him win this fight. I think that would be fun for the weight class, but I feel like Deiveson brings in a variety of skills that I just don't know that Montel has really seen, right? I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like Deiveson's ground game, it's better than probably anyone that Montel's fought, possibly, right? Good takedowns. He can put you on your back. He's got good submission skills. We saw him submit Cody Garbrandt, and I know, Cody Garbrandt. I mean, no one submits Cody Garbrandt, man. So that was impressive still to do that. So Figueiredo's got crazy power on the feet to where Montel's got to be careful, and Montel's kind of predictable. He just throws the rear kick to the body, a little occasional leg kick, front kick here and there, but it's all about the left hand. And I feel like if you're dependent upon one strike against Figueiredo, I don't know. I don't know that that's enough to get it done. And I know he's historically got pretty good takedown defense, but I feel like Figgy in a 15-minute fight, while Davidson's a little bit of a slow starter, he waits the counter. I think that this might be a little bit of a staring contest for a while, both guys trying to counter each other, but I think that the speed of Figueiredo and the power that he has in this weight class combined with the grappling, I feel like he's got more ways to win this fight, and I feel like he can outscore Montel Jackson by landing some of the bigger shots or just taking him down and winning on control time or possibly finding a submission. Early lean, I'm going to say Deiveson Figueiredo wins this fight, but I'm rooting for Montel Jackson. Maybe I'll change my mind on this one, but given what I've seen so far after that last performance with Montel, it's like Figueiredo's a big step up. I know he's getting older, not exactly in his prime anymore, but he's still a really good fighter, man. He's only been losing to the best guys, and before those losses, he beat Marlon Chito Vera, wobbled Rob Font, was beating him pretty badly, so, submitted Cody Garbrandt. He's looked pretty good in the bantamweight division outside of the loss to Jan and Corey. So overall, I think Deiveson Figueiredo has the edge in this matchup, but really fun fight that the UFC put together here. But if you guys enjoyed this video, do me a favor, please give it a like. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. See you next time.